All right, we're going to try this again. Luke Thompson Designs podcast. Here we are. Now I got to get my friend to get back on here. We'll see about this. I think there we go. We're getting it now. Just waiting for it to happen. Yeah,
Yeah,
there we go, my friend. How you doing?
tired as can be.
Hey, hey, today was my day off. I worked a couple doubles myself the last couple days, but
Wow.
man, this has been years in the making.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
has.
man.
Uh, First of all, thank you, Skrilla, for joining me here on my podcast. I got you on my big screen.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful thing there. Thank you.
So, the first question I got for you, we're just going to jump into it, is I've always heard Skrilla the Great. So, how did you come up with that name, Skrilla, especially the last part, the Great?
Um, my uncle actually gave me the Skrilla name. It's a street term for money. And they use that very loosely up north and all that. But we used to listen to a lot of up north rap when I was coming up as a youngin'. And he was just like, man, you always trying to make some money. You always trying to get some Skrilla. And I was like, huh, Skrilla, you know what I mean? So I used it with my music, and then I just kind of moved it over with the wrestling world, and then I just added the great because that was what I was pursuing. It was greatness, and you got to kind of put things in where you want it to be for it to happen. So
Yeah.
I wasn't the great at first, but I am now. So you know what I mean?
You know, a good friend of mine, and because I'm a part of a lot of fantasy promo leagues and stuff like that, and a really good friend of mine, Robert Haywood, he calls himself Hollywood Haywood, and
Okay.
one really one real statement that he's kind of embedded in me, and we've been friends now 4 or 5 years, and uh, one of the biggest statements he made is just make everything go naturally, organically. Don't, let things go smoothly. Um,
Absolutely.
and that's the thing with I think a lot of wrestlers is they try to force things that aren't happening,
Yep.
and they run into that block, and they fall down. But hey, it's about getting back up and trying what you're meant to do. And everybody's meant to be at some point greatness. Um, now I know you've been in the wrestling business for a while, and and me and you've talked
Mhm.
before about one of your, I would say it would be the dream match, probably the biggest match you would ever be part of, and
Absolutely.
you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so I want you. You told me about going against Cody Rhodes in the WWE.
Hmm.
Why, out of everybody else, would you pick Cody? Out of
Uh,
everybody on that roster, why would you pick Cody?
um, at the end of the day, it's really it's a fan thing. Like all the fans. So when he was doing the whole TNA Open or TNT Open Challenge, um, everybody was just plugging me to face him, and I thought it was very cool to see the fans express their voice like that. And that's funny that you said that because it came up when I was on Nick Patrick's Monday mailbag. And how do you feel about Roman Reigns saying that he did so much in the city of Atlanta? And Nick said that, you know, he's doing great, but he hasn't really put in the work for Atlanta. And I kind of rebutted that. And I was like, yeah, the way Deep South and I have put in work for Atlanta and Georgia as a whole, it would be a great match to have me and Cody for the Battle of Atlanta. I mean, I know a lot of guys in Georgia feel like they should be in that position too, but it's like, yeah, but nobody's ever really the top guys other than like Joe Black and guys like that have never really tried to test me. They always made it about a money thing, but they've never been like, hey, let's really get down in there and see if I can beat Skrilla the Great, you know? So
Yeah.
until then, I'm still, you know, 2023's Georgia Wrestler of the Year. So
Yeah. 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 There's three. There's Well, two of the three are very hard pictures that I've seen of you. One is with, if I'm not mistaken, the Sports Illustrated.
yeah,
Uh, the other is when Eric Bischoff and Nick Patrick in that Deep South ring handing you that championship.
yeah, man.
And of course, the third one is not necessarily a picture, but you're in the Peanut Butter Falcon movie. Now, let's start with this. How does it feel knowing that the creator of WCW hands you that championship in that Deep South ring? How does that feel to have one of the most brilliant minds be in the same ring as Skrilla the Great?
It was it was life changing. I mean, they weren't the only ones there. Robert Gibson was there. Teddy Long was there. But to have that moment with Eric Bischoff and Nick Patrick, it was incredible because I watched them as a child. Like a lot of guys started with WWF. I started with WCW. I mean, I was in Atlanta at that time, and that's what was on TV, you know. So, I mean, Eric Bischoff was detrimental to my childhood, and so was Nick Patrick, you know. And I had just said that on that too. Like, man, I watched you as a kid. It's like a dream coming true that, you know, I'm training with you and, you know, I'm in your company that your dad built. Like,
Yeah,
anything's possible. You just got to keep going. You got to work for it. You know, a lot of guys try to push the politics, but I push work.
yeah, yeah. By the way, William Huckabee says he can beat you.
Yeah, heard it before. He's gonna have to come
That
now. He's gonna have to come more. He's gonna have to bring more than just that chop, though.
uh, I the Sports Illustrated issue, and I know it doesn't just have you, and it has other independent guys from Georgia, but man, being on that type of world, I would even say I know it's for Georgia and I know it's for the United States, but that is I feel like a worldwide implication for you to be in that issue, man. And if I'm not mistaken, you're the one doing the drop kick on the cover, right?
Absolutely,
Like
absolutely.
mind blowing, dude. I mean,
And
it's an honor.
I was about to say not to cut you off, but
Yeah.
it wasn't supposed to happen like that. Allison is just a journalist in around the area. And, you know, she was like, she wanted to do something with me and, you know, just talk about, you know, my backstory. And we had did some things like I was training at WWA for at that time. So she came there and then she came to GIPW and she was like,
Mhm.
wait a minute, there's there's more to your story than just you. And I'm like, yeah, you know, so she just started like building up with that. And, you know, she wrote it all out and then she published it and Sports Illustrated picked it up. And it was
Yeah.
just like, oh, like we had no idea until she told us. So, I mean, it was just a beautiful thing, man.
The last couple of years, man, for me, like opening up, because it really started, of course, a lot of people know me as the graphic designer and stuff like that.
You're incredible. Look behind you.
Appreciate that, man. And Eric Nelson had started with me years and years ago, Stranglehold Championship Wrestling, and then that opened up me working with Laser, Chris Johnson, and Larry Otto. And the last couple of years, I mean, you can see behind me a little uh, preview. I have years upon years on my walls,
Absolutely.
and you're on my wall, Skrilla, and it feels, and I've said this before in other podcasts. I feel I feel special to be able to speak to you as my friend, as the guy behind Skrilla, and knowing and seeing the things that I've seen that a normal fan may not get to see or experience. What is something that you can tell the fans, like being a wrestling fan, maybe what's coming up next for Skrilla?
A lot. A lot. Um, Deep South just partnered with WWE NXT.
Really?
And yes, and Lexis King is the first guy to come over. I proposed my challenge to him last night at the Deep South show at New Realm, and we're just waiting on his response. This Sunday, I know everybody knows him from TNA. It's also a Deep South show. We'll be in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'll be facing Crazy Steve.
Yeah.
Gonna be a big one. I just had a match with Kobe Carino this past Saturday. That was great. It's a lot going on. So I'm just trying to stay focused and continue my work, shoot and work.
Yeah.
Like I'm just work no matter what. You know what I mean? Because
Man, Lexus King,
yeah,
dude. That is I met Brian a couple years ago, and very, very down to earth guy.
yeah,
Man, when I remember seeing that poster, and it didn't really have anything attached to it. It just had his picture, but it had Deep South connected to it. I'm like, oh man! And then I saw about you issuing that challenge, man. That, yeah, y'all know y'all gonna tear the house down.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely. That's if that's if he approves. You know,
that is true, man. He's got to
hey,
accept the challenge.
they'll go after Jacob Johnson. He's the champ. You know how those Pillmans are. They want the title, so you never know. He might decline it and go for him. But me being the guy that brought Deep South back to his prominence, why wouldn't I? I'm the
Yeah,
face, and we just talked about my goal and trying to get to the E and figure out if we can get this Cody thing going.
yeah.
And this is the first step.
So let's talk about this, because this is very huge. You were saying about how Deep South is now really connected with NXT, with WWE. Triple H, Paul Levesque, man, this dude has just revolutionized. Like what? Like it's went beyond my scope of what I thought he was able to do, and now he's bringing it back to where it's like the territory days,
Mm,
to where it's not just WWE, but now it's WWE, it's TNA, now
right,
it's Deep
right.
South. I mean, how does that feel, knowing that everybody attached to TNA, WWE, Deep South, independent companies now all have the option to possibly, go around each company?
Um, it's something that we never thought we would see again, right? And just to deal with the transition of like, hey, yeah, we proposed this, and we're just waiting on the approval from Triple H and Shawn Michaels and all the factors into it. It's mind blowing, bro. Like that's why I tell people, you just keep working hard. Your dreams will come true. You just got to keep going. But the times that we are in with wrestling right now, for you don't even have to really get signed. Like to the way that they're just allowing guys to come out to the indies and work is crazy. We've never seen this before, especially with WWE.
That's one thing, man, that I've seen a lot of through the years, and this is just from my perspective. I've seen a lot of people work very hard, just like yourselves to get to where you are. And then I've seen other people, they work hard, but then they run against that wall and they get disappointed in themselves and disappointed in being, I think some people's been mistreated. And I'm not getting into all that, but I'm just saying The Rock said something very, very important that has always stuck with me. Hard work that is consistent will equal success.
Absolutely.
And so, do
I've,
you have?
I've hit those walls before,
Yep, for sure.
especially back in the Lariato days. I hit that wall. My best friend passed, and I just hit that wall. And I'm like, and he was my manager, at that point. So I'm like, I don't even know if I want to wrestle anymore,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know if I wanted to be here anymore. So it's crazy to see how I transitioned in these past 3 years to get back to where I am now is just incredible.
Yeah, man.
Tough up sometimes, man. You got to.
Speaking of people that's passed away, um, probably two of the greatest on the indie scene. A couple months ago, we lost Francisco Ciazzo, but and then on top of that, we just lost
Yeah.
Micah Taylor, and man, uh,
Two guys that really helped me in growing. Um, Francisco he did a seminar. Where was that at? I can't remember where it was, but it was me, uh, Bryce Cannon, by the way, Cruel, and we all were down there. And you know, Francisco was just really helpful. And I won the seminar to get a match down in Florida. And he always just gave me good pointers. But Micah, man, like I'm speechless when it comes to even talking about him passing. But he was really good to me. I took his tough love the hard way a lot of times. Um, but he allowed me to come in his dojo and didn't have to pay a dime. Paid for it in the ring, but that's the Michael way. And it's just I just try to remember the good moments, and just I feel like that I'm continuing the legacy that they put in me to keep going as myself. So
yeah,
we're just best to keep going, man. That's it.
yeah, two very influential people, not just in your life, but when especially, well, both of them really, the outpouring that of love that they received, it just shows, how much their lives impacted other people. Um, I know it's a very emotional topic, so I'll just say rest in peace, Frankie and Micah, and we'll just we'll move on.
Yeah.
Um, on the indie scene, is there somebody that you have not faced that you see maybe as a future opponent slash maybe a future star?
Um, there's plenty of guys. Um, I've always thought that Nick Halen's never gotten that chance to be Nick Halen, um, and he's helped me become a star. and I would love to face him again because we just have that chemistry. But a guy that I have not faced, and everybody talks about this is the guy to beat in Georgia, to be the guy in Georgia, and it's Chip Day. I still haven't got it, and I still want to have that match. So whenever the time presents itself, we got to make it happen. Because I mean, they say to be the man, you got to beat the man. They say he's the man, but I say I'm the man, and he feels the same way. He wants to test me too. So let's make it happen.
Yeah, man. So anybody that's watching, if you got questions for Skrilla the Great, please put them in the comments. We'll go through them and see.
And not
Uh,
to cut you, say this:
Go ahead.
Luka Daniels is a star. When he comes back from his injury, he's going to be incredible. Bryce Cannon, when he comes back from his injury, he's going to rip apart Georgia wrestling. So, be
1,000%.
telling y'all beware. Hakeem Young is one of those new young guys that's tearing it up. Najasism, Owen Knight, those guys can very well be the next wrestler of the year this year. So there's a lot of people to watch in Georgia wrestling that's just paving their ways, man.
One thing I love to say about Luca's been everywhere, man. Like every single time I turn my head, watch Monday Night Raw, I see the security guard. Hey, that looks like Luca. I mean, Manny
He's all
Lemons too. I see Manny on Raw sometimes.
yes,
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, man. It was the name Hakeem.
Hakeem Young.
Okay, I've never heard of him. I somebody I got to look into.
He's really good, and he's paving his way. He's doing a lot at Coastal right now. That's a good show.
Yep,
Down in Savannah.
Savannah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you
Yep.
definitely right about Bryce Cannon
Oh,
too.
yeah. Full
Man,
exotic, full exotic
yep,
is they're
Zach and Pepper
yep.
Bottom, great guys. Um, they're all killing it, man. Owen Knight, Naja
Mm.
as well. I have not met Naja yet.
All Star,
I've been wanting to, man.
yeah. All Star Special's doing great too. No, shout out to Huckabee.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
in Hierarchy, he's doing their thing. Joe and everyone are all over the place, winning titles. Trevor Aon and the Left Hand Path, those guys
Yeah,
are doing so many people.
man.
So Aaron Black, and he's down in further south doing his thing. Like it's so many people doing their thing in Georgia wrestling, and I'm glad to be at the forefront to bring the world to Georgia wrestling. That way they can discover these
Yeah,
guys. It ain't
man.
yes, I'm up front. Yes, I got to be selfish to make it happen, but it's about making these guys get there too.
For real, for real. So, kind of coming to an end here. So let me. Uh, is there any shows or anything that you want to promote before we end it out here, or anything you want to say? I know we've kind of said a lot already, but
Yeah,
anything you want to end it?
definitely. I know a lot of people can't make it to Knoxville, but it's gonna be a great show on Sunday. Me versus Crazy Steve. That's gonna be incredible. A big test for me. Hopefully, there's some TNA people in the building. Um, definitely the Deep South October 26th show. That's Lexus King in the building, and hopefully see Lexus King versus Skrilla the Great. And there's just so much more that I can't really say yet, but it's in the books. And then the night after October 27th, I will be back in Texas, Reality of Wrestling.
Yeah,
So it's a lot. So
Booker T.
yeah, shout out to Booker T and Reality of Wrestling, man. He really gave me a lot of pointers that I needed as well. So it's all in motion right now, bro. We about to do it big real soon.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, Skrilla, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Um, oh, you're welcome, man. Yeah, the crazy Steve, man. Steve, you know he earns that crazy in front of it. So
It's for a reason. We gonna see. I'm gonna definitely test it, and I'm gonna show him why I'm great.
yeah, for real, man. Thank you so much. And before I completely end the broadcast, next week's
Oh,
guest,
oh, who is it? Who is it? Who is it?
so wildly
Oh, wow.
from Louisiana is
Wow.
going to be on next Monday night at 8:30. He will be my special guest. And man, again, thank you so much, Skrilla. Thank you everybody for tuning in to the Luke Thompson Designs podcast. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all next time.
All right, later, man.